my name's Claire Shaver, and this summer I went to the Burn Your Lab at the University of Washington for 7 weeks. So what does the Burn Your Lab do? The Burn Your Lab studies genetic mutations associated with autism, and the reason they study these mutations is because they're very rare and not much research is done on them. So while we were there, we mainly focused on 2 different mutations, DYRK1A, which is associated with cellular differentiation, and SCN2A, which is associated with a sodium-potassium pump. So whenever these families come in, we actually test both the child and the parents. And the reason we test both the child and the parents is because the child has what's called a de novo mutation most likely, which means that there's no known cause of why this child has the mutation. So most likely both parents do not have the mutation. So we look at both of them doing behavioral testing, IQ testing, and then with the child we also do autism testing. While we were there, I focused on 2 different studies, the Tiger study, which have had about 800 families so far come in with different rare mutations and be tested. And the end goal of this is to create a database. So whenever you get this diagnosis, they can just go straight to this database and learn more about it. And then they also focused on the ConnectFX, which is a drug trial study for Fragile X syndrome. And Fragile X syndrome is a mutation on your X chromosome in which you will have severe intellectual impairment. So continuing on with how they're doing testing, so here on the left is they would record every session so they could look back and the postdocs could always review. And then here's the room that the testing happened in, so it could be configured depending on the person. Oops, sorry, wrong way. And then along with the different testing, they also did biological testing. So they did an EEG, which is where they put a net on your head and measured the different, your different brain waves. And so here's the net they put on your head, and then here's the room that they'd happen in and where they'd sit and watch the movie. And so the final bit of testing they did was eye tracking. And the reason they do eye tracking is because often with autism, they won't make eye contact with facial features. So they're trying to figure out if they'll make any more, if they'll make eye contact with something else. So this is a video. We'll see if it loads. So it pretty much would have shown like what the researcher was seeing. So there would have been 2 little blue dots moving around, and those are the eyes. And then on the left is what the participant is viewing, and then on the right is what the researcher is seeing. And so this was actually used to re-diagnose someone with autism. And so the final thing we do for testing is we take photos. There is a video link on the very top. I don't know if it will work. And so they'll actually take a 3D photo. So they'll sit in this spaceship-looking thing, and it takes a 3D photo in about 10 seconds. And the reason they do this is because, especially with like DYRK1A, they have really small facial size, so they're trying to keep track of this, so if they ever have to go back and look at it, they can go back to these 3D photos. So whenever I was not helping out with the different studies, I was in the lab. So I read, every week we read a different article, and then we discussed it as a group. And then here in the top, I was actually able to take the data we received from a DYRK1A conference and present it to our lab groups about the findings we found. And then here in the bottom, I was actually able to attend the family's SCN2A conference, which is where researchers and families come together to learn about this rare genetic mutation. And then since I was in Seattle in the summer, I really enjoyed the wonderful city. So I went to the Needle and surrounding sites. I went kayaking with my host family, and I went to the farmer's market a lot, one of my favorite spots. And then here, I was actually able to play on an adult co-ed team twice a week. And then here, I was actually able to go with my host family about 2 weekends to a cabin they have. So advice to future interns: engage in every opportunity you get. You never know if you might return. Ask questions. For me, the clinicians used a lot of abbreviations, so ask them to clarify those abbreviations so you know what they're talking about. And then most importantly, have fun, enjoy the city you're in and the people you're with. And thank you to everyone, especially my host family, my mentors.